Good afternoon, good evening even. Hope everyone's well. Welcome to All Things Sky Blue. I will be joined shortly with Ant from To Hull and Back podcast to preview Friday night's game at the MKM Stadium. So let's bring him on. Hello, Ant. How are you?
I'm fine, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you. Not too bad. Thank you very much for coming on. So to get things underway, then just let us know who you are and what you guys do.
Yeah, so we're we're an independent Hull City podcast. We started in lockdown, just as a wake. Obviously, you love talking on match days in the pub about your football, and obviously we locked down. We didn't have football no more. I couldn't do that anyway. So we thought, do you know what? Let's just do this and see what happens. And so yeah, we started off audio only, so you can find us on all your Apple Podcasts, your Spotify, things like that. And then we've branched out to YouTube as well. And we've just launched a website this season, so we're going to try and do some written content. Once the sort of logistics of the website and who can upload who and controls what is sorted, we should have regular content coming out on that too, and sort of just become like a hub of Hull City information. So news, podcast episodes, everything in the same place. So you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. You can find us here, there, and everywhere. And if you are Coventry fans, we do obviously occasional opposition preview shows and things like that. Yeah. So it is worth following us for that reason, obviously, or even just come and just gloat if you beat us. We're fine with that. We're very humble. So we'll take what we can get. But yeah, you can find us in all usual places.
Fantastic. Excellent. Brilliant. So let's dive straight into it then. Let's talk about the little bit of the history that we've got between us. My notes here, the last 6 games that we've played, us as Coventry, we've lost 3, we've won 2, and we've drew 1. And the one that we drew was obviously the last game that we guys played last season against you. Obviously, it's, but I think back on our history, not just the 6 games, but I think it's been relatively quite even between us. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, Coventry is one of those where, because we spent a lot of time down, because I was born in '95, so I missed a lot of the bad. As my uncles reminded me all the time, like when we kept getting promoted, they were like, this isn't what you should get used to. This isn't what Hull City is. But we languished around in Division 3 for about 19 straight years, I think. And then I remember Coventry game. I remember going to the stadium, I think when we reached the Championship in 2006, 7, something like that. And obviously Coventry were only recently down from the Prem around that time, weren't you? So it was a big ground to go to. It was a kind of, this is the new reality for Hull City kind of thing. And I remember, I think Nicky Barmby scored that game. If memory serves me right, but ever since then, whenever we've played Coventry, it's always been a game of, neither of us are a bogey team for the other. It's just a case of, who's better on the day, and I think that was the case last season. I think the draw was fair. I actually went to that game. I won a competition to be in a box at the CBS. So that was a strange experience, because obviously me and my uncle and my mum were the only City fans in and around, surrounded by Coventry fans in the boxes. So when Oscar stuck one in the top bins, it was a very muted celebration. But the Coventry fans around us had a good laugh. To be fair, it was a good day. But and then obviously we won at the MKM. But it was at the beginning of the season when I think you couldn't play at home for the first few games, could you? And you had like a bad run away. So it was kind of maybe just took advantage of that situation kind of thing. But like I say, the Coventry are a good side, finishing the playoffs. We managed to take 4 points from a team that finished in the top 6 last season that could have been in the Premier League this season. Yeah. So it was a good tally for last season, but this season I think it's going to be very interesting, because I think we're both completely different teams, both in terms of the players we've lost. New. Not a new manager for you guys, but a new way of playing, obviously with Gyökeres and Hamer going, two very important players, and that transition period, and we're now sort of bedding into that Liam Rosenior style as well, with a lot of new players that he wants, a lot of homegrown players, as opposed to the very sort of outlandish transfer summer that we had, a bit more smart this season, I think. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how we both do this season, and I'm really looking forward to this game.
Yeah, obviously the one game that stands out last season, especially, was the 3-2 win, loss on our behalf and winning on yours. Obviously, the
The best
Estepenian,
hat trick ever.
yeah, he got a hat trick. He pretty much wiped the floor with us. So I think Godden got two on that day himself anyway, so he was on for a hat trick as well. So um, and I was obviously we will get on to new players and players gone in and gone out, but obviously he's gone out on loan, hasn't he? Somewhere now, he's not with you, is he?
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone on loan to FC Metz, the same place that we've sold Ben Tete to. I'd like to say we'll talk about one later, but it's definitely an interesting one.
Yeah,
Certainly amongst our fan base as well.
yeah. So yeah, um, obviously. Well, I tell you what, we'll go on to the players now. To be fair,
Yeah.
so obviously you've lost Estepinian. I think if I'm right in saying that you've had 19 go out and you've had 12 new players in, is that about right?
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah.
The outgoings I might struggle to confirm, but yeah.
Yeah. That I think that's what I looked at anyway. The two people for me really that you know I think you've on my behalf anyway. You've definitely had a really good transfer
Mm.
window. You're one of the probably the top. I would say three, maybe five. For having a really good transfer window. The honest answer is a lot of people that I've spoken to. We do a Twitter space on a Sunday night, and a lot of people were worried and are worried about Friday night and going to your place just because of the people that you've brought in. Two that I'll mention: Scott Twine on
Yeah.
loan from Burnley, and Liam Delap. But I know that you've got Tufan as well. That he's been scoring goals for you. How do you think that the new players are bedding in, and do you think they're doing well under Liam?
Yeah, I do. I think it was a really important transfer window for him because last season he did really well inheriting somebody else's squad, and it was a squad that was, they were all basically all made of matchsticks. The amount of injuries we had every week last season, we never really had a consistent 11, and last season was always a case of what if, because when we had, most of our players fit, we looked a good side. Beginning of the season under Avaladze, we were horrific. But as soon as Rosinia came in and we went from the worst defence in the league to the fifth best, I think it was, and there was only Burnley and Luton that lost fewer than us in the games that Rosinia's been in charge. And I think to this day, since he took over in November, we've only lost 7 of the 33 games he's been in charge of in the league, which in the Championship, is brilliant. Those kind of runs. But last season, our Achilles heel was scoring goals. So he needed to find a way to get a team that was going to be robust enough to be fit every week, that was going to fit the play out from the back style of play that he wants to do, and score more goals. We had to be more fluid, more versatile up top, and I think he's managed to do that. He's recruited domestically rather than a lot of players from abroad like we did last summer. I think they've been clever acquisitions, cheaps, loans. We've not really spent. We spent money on Jadon Philogene. I think £5 million, but he's one of those transfers that you didn't think you'd be able to make in this division. He taught Jacob Greaves a new one when he came to our ground for Cardiff last season. And when Premier League clubs have those young English exciting wingers, they don't really tend to let them go on a permanent. So it's quite a coup that we managed to convince both Villa and Philogene to come here, especially above other clubs. And like you say, players like Scott Twine, Liam Delap. Look, he didn't really set the league alight for Stoke or Preston last season. But like we said when we signed him, sometimes it's the case of the correct surroundings for a player. The style of play, the manager, the philosophy, the culture. It can just be so many different things. And Delap's been at Man City, who are playing. We all know how Guardiola plays for our many years. So hopefully, Rosinia's more possession-based style is going to bring the best out of him. And since the season started, he's been probably our player of the season. He's been fantastic. Certainly not the kind of player that I was expecting to get, but we've had that with Tufan. We've had that with Aaron Connolly. You know, a previous club saying they're not very good, and they come here and they've got a new lease of life. And I don't know if that's down to Rosini's management style or just, you know, how he knows how to get the best out of these players, or just the system he's playing. So, you know, we've recruited very well. Players like Ruben Vinagre as well, title winner with Wolves. He's played in the Premier League. He was at Sporting Lisbon. Not match fit, I don't think yet, but had a really good game against Leicester. So he's obviously getting that sharpness up now. And then when you add it to the core of players that we already had that were fantastic, like John Michael Seri, Jacob Greaves, Cyrus Christie, Ozan Tufan, the players that were here from last season that were good, we've created something that I think Rosini is really, really happy with. And this season we've scored in every game so far, touch wood. But the only thing we kind of sacrificed was that defensive solidity that we had last season, where we were getting a lot of clean sheets. We've only just got our first clean sheet of the season. Granted, it was away at Leicester, who were probably going to win the league. But, you know, we seem to be a little less rigid. I think we're playing the new way is 4-4-2, so we're a little more susceptible to the counter-attack because our fullbacks really do like to push on. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I think the signings are going to fit the system. I think when they're all fully match fit and ready to get into the squad, we'll have a very exciting team, and I think one that can definitely be challenging the top six as a bare minimum.
Yeah, I just, you know, you did a really good example of the style of play that Leon wants to play, and that's more possession based and stuff. And that's definitely something that you know, what we've found this season as well. We've had to, like I said, we've had to slightly change the way that we play. You know, we've lost Vic, you know, where, you know, balls would just be lumped up to him, not a long ball as such, but he was very much, you know, he could hold the ball up a lot better and turn that player and go on a nice run. You know, Hamer can see a pass. You know, we are a lot more possession based now. And it's going to be interesting because, again, you mentioned the wing backs. You know, we play with wing backs. We've played it for the past, you know, 3-4 seasons now with wing backs, whether it's Darbo or, you know, Sam McCallum on the left, or Ian Matson on the left, or now Jay De Silva. You know, so it's going to be, it could be a game where the wing backs kind of make the game, if you like, really, just because it's going to be a case of who can get their wing backs up the pitch further to get that ball in for your Liam Delap or for Matty Godden or Hadji Wright or whoever may start up front for us. So it's going to be an interesting game as well, really, in that sense, that we just don't know what Hull are going to present. You know, on the Twitter space, I mentioned that I felt that when we played Swansea, they were very much a bully team. I don't find that with Hull. I find them. I'm not saying that you're going to be pushovers or anything like that, because I don't think you are. But I think, you know, the technical game is going to come into it more rather than a bullish, you know, we're going to stamp right over you kind of thing. I'm knocking that over now. But yeah, I just think it's going to be a very interesting game to see who can actually come out on top with them possession stats. Because again, like I said, you know, even against Leicester, our first game of the season, you know, I think we were top of the stats apart from shots, and that was towards the end. I think we were very much high on that possession based, and we have been throughout the season. I think there might have been only Sunderland where we haven't been. Somebody might be able to correct me on that anyway. But I like the signings that you've made, and like I said, a lot of us think, and I think we're all of the same opinion, where we're very worried, and we're not taking you guys lightly. Where in the past, I think, you know, Hull have very much, I don't think just us, I think the whole league really have thought in the past that, oh, Hull's coming, it doesn't really matter. You might have turned a few of them over like you did with us in that 3-2 victory and stuff. But I think now people aren't taking you so lightly just because of what you've done in the past two clubs. And especially, you know, I still can't get over the signings that you've made this season, because like I said, you're probably the top three for me anyway in the clubs that have done really, really well and signed very astutely. So yeah, I'm not getting carried away whatsoever. I'm worried about coming to you guys.
Good. It's been a while. It's been a while since people have been worried to come to us.
Yeah,
we've been a very under the radar squad for years. I mean, obviously under the previous owners, it was it was asset stripping and struggling and all that kind of stuff. But since obviously the takeover, it's been getting to a point now where we can actually get the club to a point where it can be competitive again. And I think he made the wrong decision with bringing in Arveladze. I think he realised that. I think he realised he made the wrong decision by bringing in unfit players that hadn't had a pre-season from abroad that weren't used to this league like he did last season in such great numbers as well. And you can see now we're being a lot more quiet in terms of the players we're going after on like, whereas last season you knew what player we were going to sign 4 weeks before they were announced because it was everywhere. Yeah. Which I think probably buffed up prices because as soon as agents get that out in the open and other clubs start sniffing around, you can push the price up, can't you? Whereas this season, it's been so hard to even find a legitimate rumour of a player that we're after. It only really comes out when, it gets to a point where bids are in and clubs are confirming things. So we've been quieter. The chairman's learning from his mistakes. We're learning to sort of keep the optimism a bit contained because I think last season we got a bit over elaborate because the signings were made in summer, and we've appointed a very smart young upcoming coach who knows the club. Most importantly, he's been here, done that before. He's absolutely loved by the fans. It was a smart appointment, and it's the perfect place I think for Rosinia to impose his stamp on his career basically as a manager. So yeah, it's an exciting season, and like you say, the transfer window only adds to that. It'll just be a case of let's see where we are after 10-15 games and then have that greater idea of what this squad could probably achieve.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's going to move me nicely on to my next question. Obviously, you are sixth at the moment in the table. What are your expectations for this season?
It'll probably differ from every single City fan that you ask. Before the season, based on how we improved under Rosinia and how the only thing we were missing was goals, that logically going was, if we could add some goal scorers to this team, improve the spine, get some higher earners who were always injured off the wage bill kind of thing, we would be a squad that definitely can challenge the top 6. And obviously when you're looking at the strength of the division, I mean, this is probably the strongest championship we've had in years.
Yeah.
It's very easy to say we should be aiming at the top 6, but there's going to be 14 other teams saying the same thing. It's going to be so tough. We knew that. I always said that I think top 10 should be the aim. Progress on, the season before last, we were 19th. Last season we were 15th. So as long as we keep going on that upward trajectory, I mean, as a fan, you want to see your club and know what direction you're heading in. When I look at Hull City at the minute, I only see us going upwards.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing for me. I think a nice, at least at the end of the season, if we were in the discussion for, those teams that were chasing the top 6 place, even if we finish short, finish 9th, 10th, something like that, that's a good season for us. And it's a solid foundation for then, like we say, to trim the squad a bit more, get some more players in that Rosinia needs and go again. So, yeah, I would definitely say top 10, I think, is the aim. But Rosinia will tell you top 6. That's what you'll be going for.
Excellent. So from your perspective then about us, have we got any threats? Are you worried about us? What's the sort of general feeling on your side?
I think everyone knows, like, based on last season as well, that Coventry were always going to be most likely a side that were going to be up and about there again this season. I will go on record and say I thought that losing Gyökeres and Hamer would be massive. I thought he'd struggle to replace them. Haji Wright signing really interests me because he was a player last summer that we were linked with. Our owner was really big on trying to get him in. I think we could have signed him for 1.4 million last summer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and we ended up getting Oscar instead for free. So I think he went, obviously, this guy's for free. I mean, he scored 13 goals and he missed 2.5 months of the season. So he could have been a 15, 20 goal striker.
Yeah.
If he was fit and not suspended. But No, I think the Hadji Wright signing really interests me because you need to obviously replace Gyökeres's goals, and not just his goals, his creativity, his hold-up play. Like I say, you've got to learn a new way of winning games because you've been used to utilising his strength, power, speed, and Hamer's creativity in the middle. I did think that when I went to the away game, the CBS last season, Hamer was one of the best individual performances I'd watched in a long time. I didn't think he was as good as he was. Because I actually missed the home game. And I always thought Hamer was one of these that was a defensive midfielder who sits deep and makes a couple of tackles and does this, but he's just so much more than that. He's just like a complete midfielder, and he really shocked me that day at how good he was. And then, like we say, when you lost Hamer, I thought you struggled to replace him again, but I think you've spent the money well. Ellis Sims, I don't know. From my perspective, I think you've overpaid. Because I haven't seen anything from him in his career yet that would suggest he's worth that amount of money at this level. But in saying that, he is only young. So, and Hadji Wright's only young too. So you're building a squad that's going to be sustainable in terms of, if you're not successful on the pitch results-wise, promotion, anything like that, you've got a squad that's got resale value. If you need to obviously, scrap those plans and start again kind of thing. But it's a strong squad still. I mean, you look at this team, and I would say that's comfortably a side that's going to be challenging the top six again. And I think, obviously, like you say, that you're in that transitional period at the minute. All it takes is one. I mean, you were very unlucky in the Leicester game. I watched the Leicester game, and I thought, that was, a daylight robbery from Leicester. Really, just a couple of those Premier League quality players that have been there, done that, sort of got them over the line. But no, Coventry will be a good game. And they'll be a really good team this season. So I think it'll be a really good measure to see where we are as a team. If we can come away from a game like Coventry with 3 points going into Leeds on Wednesday night, it puts us in a really good position to, make another statement to the league and say, these boys are here to mess about. So, but I would take a point. I'd happily take a point against Coventry.
Yeah, I'm completely in your camp. Really. I've always said, I've always said, and I say on our spaces and stuff as well, you win your home games, you draw your away games, and you'll be somewhere close.
Yeah.
And I'll be, if I come away 0-0, 1-1 against you guys, I'll be more than happy with that. Hadji Wright's done okay so far for us. I think. Sims, I still think there's more to come from Sims. I know that you said that we paid a lot for him, but he was a Premiership striker. And, I know he scored against a poor Chelsea side for Everton last season, but you've still got to put him away. You're still in that position to put him away. And I just think, when he was at Sunderland, he was on for, if he'd kept up his tally and Everton hadn't recalled him back because of their injuries, he was online and on course for potentially getting your 20 goals a season, which is what you want. Whether he would have got there, all strikers go through a little blip. Vic went through it. He went through, I think it was 18 games he didn't score in one season, but he still ended up scoring 15 goals or whatever it was, 18 goals, I think, that season anyway. And then obviously the next season, he pushed on and he did what he did, which was brilliant for us. But we have got to find a new way of playing, and that's why, like I said, it's going to be an interesting game because we're both kind of now at a stage where we are playing more possession football rather than not kicking and hoping, but getting it up as fast as you can. We do, there's many times when I've just said, look, bypass the midfield and just get it up there because they just pass it sometimes too much for me, really.
Honestly, we've had that since Rosini has come in.
Mate.
It's if you try and incorporate a slower possession-based style, there's always going to be a large section of the fan base that just want you to lump it up and stop messing about with it at the back. All that kind of stuff.
Completely. But it's kind of old school, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I might be a little bit older than you. I'm not going to ask how old you are, but I might be a little bit older. But yeah, I'm very much old school, and just kick it out. Don't worry about passing it to your goalkeeper and getting it. Just kick it. Just get it out.
It's the threat of that mistake, isn't it? I mean, we've conceded a few goals where we've been a bit too slow to confident on the ball at the back, and then all it takes is for a team to press you into a position where it's hard to get out of, and you've got a problem and you can see the goal. But I can also see why they play the way they do, because it also gives you extra options in terms of going forward. So I know why people don't like it, but at the end of the day, it's an identity and it's a way of playing, and as long as you can identify it,
yeah, definitely. Look, we made mistakes against Watford playing that way, and all it takes is for that back pass not to go as far as you want it to, and the quick strikers nipped in, passed it to his mate, and he's scored, and that's exactly what happened for our third goal against Watford. So I'm hoping that they'll learn from that, and they won't make the same mistakes again, really, because I know Liam Delap's quite quick. And I know you've got quick guys in there. That's why I am a little bit worried, to be fair. But we'll see how we get on. So obviously I've got your prediction in your 0-0. So we normally close this on a word association. So all I'm going to say to you is one word, and just give me one word back or a couple of words back. All right.
Yeah.
So the first one is Liam Rosenia.
Perfect.
Oh, MKM Stadium.
Great.
Okay. Most people say home to that one, to be fair.
Yeah.
Player you didn't want to lose this year.
Greaves.
Okay. Player you're most looking forward to watching.
Philogene.
Okay. Louis Coyle, your captain.
Dependable.
Okay. And your 23-24 season.
Optimistic.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you again for coming on. Just before you go, can you just let us know again where we can find you and what you guys do?
Yeah, so we're on Twitter. It's the handles Hull_and_back. We're fairly easy to find. You'll see us in the black and amber colours, where we're not easy to miss. You can find us on Twitter. We're on Facebook as well. And then if you want to listen to us, we're on Apple, Spotify, pretty much all your audio providers, and we do video content on YouTube too. So yeah, any follows, any subscribes, anything like that, hugely appreciated.
Excellent. It's called To Hull and Back, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but based on the famous Only Fools and Horses episode, where he gets out the car and he asks where he is, tells him he's in Hull, and he's like, "What are we doing in Hull?"
Ah, there you go. A little bit of history on it as well. Brilliant. Right, so when I end the recording, don't shoot off. We'll have a quick chat after. All right?
Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming on, Ant. Much appreciated. I think I'm on Thursday with, I don't know whether it's yourself or somebody else.
It'll be Nathaniel.
Okay, cool. So basically what I'll do is I'll just get this uploaded afterwards, and I'll link you in everything to do with, obviously, this feed. It will come out tonight, so I'll let you know once it's up.
Yeah, we'll share it about.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on. Much appreciated. And we'll see you guys soon. Play up Sky Blues.